Good morning. Thank you again for joining our webinar today on the Dispatch Center, Simplifying Your Schedule to Better Manage Your Workload. My name is Brian Anderson with the WS Tools team, and I'll be driving today. Throughout the webinar today, if you have any questions, feel free to enter them in your questions pane of GoToWebinar, and we'll go ahead and answer those questions at the end of the session. So thank you again. Some of you joined our webinar on Tuesday. I will briefly go over some of the same slides just as a review for those of you who were not on the webinar on Tuesday about what Dispatch Center is, and then we'll go ahead and jump right into the scheduling piece of Dispatch Center. But just as if this is your first time learning about Dispatch Center, or if you have seen it in the past, there's certainly been some changes, some new additions to the application, but it really comes into two parts. There's the customer care tab, which is what we covered on Tuesday, that really allows you to get access to information very quickly across across contacts, locations, equipment, open and close calls, invoices, and those types of things. Really that was why it was designed, is people using KeyDAX, Signature, and GP wanted one spot to get to tie all the notes together and be able to see all that information in one spot. And then after we displayed that information, people said, well, why don't we allow users then to schedule it? So I did want to make sure very clear that the customer tab and the reports area of Dispatch Center can be used if you're already using Graphical Schedule Board. It's a supplement. It can complement what you're already using if you're using GSB today. If you're not using GSB for scheduling, then Dispatch Center might be a fit for you. My goal today is to show you what Dispatch Center Scheduler does, and then you can see if it will fit into your business. A few quotes that we're getting from users of Dispatch Center. The first couple really around that customer care tab that we have is being able to get information without having to go into GP or KeyDAX Signature in the back office and click multiple different screens to get at the notes or get drill down into information that Dispatch Center you can get right from one view. And then the scheduler, I'm going to show today some new functionality in the list view, some things that we've added to allow people to really navigate the application and especially fit their business. The list view that I'm going to show you today really came about because users of Dispatch Center and GSB were saying, well, what happens when I get dumped hundreds of calls at the beginning of the month that are unassigned, that are maintenance contract calls or appointments that need to be scheduled? I can't view that in a graphical view. I've got too many icons. It's just too hard to manage. So that list view really was developed to handle that issue. So I'm happy and excited to show you that today. Another reminder, we've announced this at the beginning of April, a risk-free trial of Dispatch Center through June 30th of this year. If you're interested in Dispatch Center, whether it be the customer care section or the dispatch scheduling piece, you can go ahead and we will provide the software at no charge through June 30th for you to try it out. There may be a few hours of setup that we might have to coordinate with you and your partner, but we'd be happy to do that. And then you can go ahead and use it through June 30th and then decide whether it's the application you want to move forward with or not. So just want to make sure that everyone was aware of that. All right, without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and jump over to Dispatch Center. And I'll show you the customer tab. That's where we typically start, where you can log in. And again, I'm just going to pick on our favorite customer, Lang Hardware. And again, with our search mechanism, you can go ahead and type in a customer's name, a contact's name, and so forth. And with the search capability of Dispatch Center, you can get to the information you want. And in this case, I typed in Lang Hardware. I see multiple locations. If I click on either of these locations, you'll see that all the other panels are now synchronized in real time and pulling information from the SQL database with that information regarding that particular location. So in this view, I have their information around their standing, whether in good standing or maybe they need a PO is a requirement, that type of thing. Who their primary and secondary techs are, the different contacts at that location, the service calls for that location, open and closed, and then any invoices that have occurred against that location and the pieces of equipment that are assigned to that location. So again, that's what we covered on Tuesday, and again, that access to that information, access to the notes. So if I want to see notes for a particular location, customer notes, location notes, I can go ahead and see them here. If I go into the contacts, I can see notes over on the contact side as well. I can enter notes on the fly, and again, this is real-time connected to service management, the SQL database. That'll, anything you add in DispatchCenter will automatically flow over to the back office, be synchronized with the data, or actually entered into the SQL database, so that anything I add in DispatchCenter here will show up in the back office, and vice versa. If somebody's working in the back office, maybe just generated an invoice, it will be refreshed on my view here in DispatchCenter. All right, so let's get into the scheduler, which is what we wanted to cover today. Now, as I mentioned on Tuesday, I could go ahead right from the customer care tab and create a service call. I could also do a technician activity, schedule a technician activity. But I also can go click right on the scheduler tab, and that will go ahead and open up right away into the calendar view scheduler. And I've got the capability to shrink these panels just like I do on the customer care. In fact, if I want to see the calendar, I can go ahead and open that up. I can close out the technician area, and if I want to see the appointment list that I mentioned, I can go ahead and see that as well. So I can go ahead and navigate how I want to view it. I can also, if you're using a two-monitor system, I could have the customer tab on one monitor and the scheduler tab on another monitor. So I can separate these. I can drag them to different monitors, and that way I can do my searching on one monitor and my scheduling on the other monitor. I can also schedule multiple calls at one time. I don't have to finish one call, close it, and then I can open up multiple windows of the scheduler or the appointments. Now from the scheduler, I can go to the home tab here, and I can go ahead and then say I want to do a new service call. Now you'll see on the technician tab that I already have Alan and Andy highlighted on there, and that's because they were the primary and secondary techs of Line Hardware. If you remember on the first screen, on the customer view, those were the technicians that were their primary and secondary techs. So that's why I defaulted to that. So when I click on new service call here, it's going to open up our service call entry window. Again, I can create this on the fly. Let's say, and again, it brought up the customer who was on the customer tab, and brought their information in automatically. So I'm going to just say, unfortunately, they have a leaking pipe here this morning, and they need help. And so we'll go ahead and enter this information. And we got a leaking pipe, and it's probably pretty urgent, so I'm going to put that as an emergency type call. I can now assign it. I could, again, it defaulted to Alan as the primary technician. Starting at 9, well, we're after 9 here, so let's bump that up a little bit here. Let's say we need to go. We'll say it's now, and he needs to get over there. So I can go ahead and hit save here now, and I will have a message that says that the service call was created successfully, and you'll see it already landed now on the calendar. And the red means it's an emergency. And if I hover over that, I will get information as well. But before I close out the call, I'm going to show you a couple things as well here. I can go ahead and email the technician right now. And so when I click on email tech, it's going to send an email and also a calendar invite to the technician. If you're using mobile tech in the background, as soon as I save this call and it gets assigned, it's going to replicate up to mobile tech through the back office, through the synchronization to mobile tech. So you wouldn't need to send an email, but there are some folks out there that aren't using mobile tech. If they've got a handheld device that they receive email on, they could go ahead and receive that email and the calendar invite. I could also send an email to the customer with an email and the calendar invite to the customer as well. In an upcoming release of DispatchCenter, we're also going to look at texting the customer a reminder of the appointment. so that there's communication going on as soon as the appointment is scheduled. We can also create a quote on this call. So if it's a quoted call, we could go ahead and hit create quote. It's going to open up our quote sheet, which I could manually enter this information. Now, a lot of our customers, our clients that are doing dispatching and service work, the technicians maybe already are using a quoting template. That can also be mapped to dispatch centers. So if we have a template that we've got to set up here in our environment, I can go ahead and point to that quote template. And again, that would be specific to that particular service call or that technician that's maybe submitted that they're out in the field and they submit a quote and they want this to be a quoted call. That information can be brought automatically in from that template. We can point to that, and then we can go ahead and save that quote. And now we have attached the quote to that call. And if I ever want to go in and take a look at the quote, I can go again to that service call and edit the quote. It's going to show that information. So pretty helpful for those folks that are doing quoted calls. If I take a look now, that call has been scheduled. If I hover over it, I will get the information. So if I've got a bunch of calls on my calendar, I could go ahead and hover and take a look. If I want to go back to that call, I can just double click on it, and I'll see the same information. Again, I could email, do the same functions as I showed you. I can also move it to another. Let me open up another calendar here. We'll bring Alice into the mix as well. I can move the call to another technician. So if I just drag and drop, let's say, you know what, we're running a little bit behind and I need Andrew to do it instead of Alan, you'll see now that when I open up that call, it's been automatically switched to Andy, Andy. And when I go to the appointments, the appointment was automatically changed to Andy as well. And I can have multiple appointments. In fact, let's just show that. If I hold the control key down, let's say I needed two people over there. I needed Andy and Alice. I can hold the control key down, and I can go ahead and bring her in. Whoops, I didn't hold it down. Sorry about that. I'm going to bring it back. There we go. Now when I open up that call, I've got two people on it. If I go to the appointments, I'll see that both Andy and Alice are now tied to that appointment. So I want both of those people on that call. So I can go ahead and easily do that. If I take a look, also I can take a look at a different view. If I want to go to the Home tab here, it'll allow me. Now I've got the single day view, the current day view open. I can go to a 5-day work view if I want. And again, that's going to show multiple calls that I've got. And I've got the hover. Again, I can hover over it, or I can drill into each of the calls that I want. I can create a new tech activity, and that's what these meetings are. So if I need to schedule a meeting or training across the board or for particular technicians, I can go ahead and schedule that with the scheduler as well. I can do a date range. In this case, it's a 5-day week. I can go ahead and change my date ranges. So if I want to go back in time or go forward in time, I can go ahead and do that to see what my workload looks like. I can also, let's go back to the day view here. I can also change how much information I want to show on my calendar. I can zoom in, zoom out. We'll go back to April 27th here. So if I want to zoom out and see more of the hours in the day, I can go ahead and do that. And you'll see that now I've got a better view of everybody's calendar. Again, I can zoom in to get really, the next couple of hours, I can see that as well. So a lot of neat little views. If I want to do a month view, again, I will see the whole month for everyone across the calendar. I can do a Gantt view, which shows the technicians on the side and the dates across the top. So a lot of flexibility in how you want to view the information, which people typically like to see. They like the flexibility. As I mentioned earlier, I also can I can shrink these panels as well. So if I want to just work on see the schedule, I could shrink my my technicians area, and I can see my schedule. Again, I could go back to my different views here and not have, I get more real estate on your monitor, so to speak. I can also, again, I mentioned earlier about these this list view. I'll go ahead and get into that very quickly as well. But let me go stay on the technician area and go to the technician tab. We can do sorting as well by technician, by service area, by tech team, and so forth. So if I want to take a look and say, you know what, show me all the techs that are on my commercial team that have a certain skill level. Well, here are my commercial techs, but now I need a special skill level. In this case, I need a supervising technician. I now know that if I'm going to schedule a call here, I probably want to pick Alan or Andy because that would meet the criteria that I would need for that particular call. And that's extremely useful if you're using skill levels, skill sets, being able to take a look at the different people that meet the criteria for your scheduling. And again, I can sort any way that I really want to there in order to get the right people on the right jobs. Let's go to the appointment area. I mentioned earlier that's new functionality. Again, all this the ability to change these panels to is new functionality that came out. Again, I can expand and drag and drop and do all that good stuff, making it customizable by user. So each user can have their own setup in how they want to view the information in the way that they want to see it. So let's take a look at the appointment area. I will say this is probably the biggest advancement we've made on DispatchCenter in the last month or so, and it really came about where people mentioned that they had they were dispatchers, and at the beginning of the month they had a bunch of, it could be hundreds of calls, unassigned calls dropped on them because of maintenance contracts that needed to be assigned out. Well, when you drop 200-300 little icons on an unassigned calendar, it's pretty hard to manage that. So we decided to go with a list view. In fact, let me just show you. Obviously, I don't have hundreds of calls here, but I'm going to go ahead and just say, give me all the unassigned calls for this date range. And the ability to change it by date range is an extra value there too, as I can filter by particular date range. But I'll go ahead and pick unassigned calls. Again, I could filter it by different statuses as well. But I have two unassigned calls right now. I'm not too far backed up, but I am backed up a little bit because they were supposed to be done maybe a couple days ago, the way it looks. So, and getting on that same theme of customization, if I want to, I've got a view here with some defaulted columns, but I can customize this however I want. So I'll just hover on one of the columns, and I can choose multiple different pieces of information that can show up on that window. So maybe I want the description. Maybe I want the description to come up right here. I'll go ahead and do that, and now the description on that call is going to show in my view. And I guess maybe that's probably all that I would need to add there for my view. I can also hide columns. So if I said, you know what, I don't want skill level to show, I can go ahead and click on that and just do hide this column, and it would automatically hide it for the user who's deciding to do that. Now from this view, again, there could be hundreds of calls listed here. Again, I can sort by date to filter it. I could sort it. Obviously, these are unassigned calls. So what I can do now, as I work through my list, I can just expand it to see what the call problem is. But if I want to go ahead and just go ahead and schedule it, I can just double click on it here. It's going to open up the exact same window that I had before. And let's say I wanted to go ahead and put that to Andy, and let's say it's today. And we're going to bump that up to, well, we better go PM here. We're getting close. Yeah, you know what? We'll put it at we'll put PM here, and we better not go that late. We'll go 1 o'clock here. We'll get that scheduled. Again, I could type that in, but I'm using my clicker, and now I've got that scheduled. Boom. Now it is already scheduled, and again, I could have used my graphical could have done it graphically as well, but now I've got it scheduled. And now if I refresh, I will show that I only have one appointment, should have only one appointment unassigned, and I can go down my list like that. So again, a great way to handle your unassigned calls. Now, what we also found, however, is that this is a great view for people to take a look at what the technicians have done. So let's go. I'm going to go ahead and select a few technicians here. Well, let's just select. Let's see what Alan has done in the last time period, right? So I've selected Alan, and now I'm going to go back to my appointment view. Close my technician view here, and let's say I want to see all the completed calls that Alan did during a particular time frame. I can go ahead and select that, and now I'll see what Alan did during that time period. So it's a great way to think of it as almost a report generator within the scheduler to be able to see what people have done, or maybe what I need to see is how many open calls Alan has during that time. Again, this is March 28th through April 27th. I guess I could bump that up. I could say, what has Alan got going for the next, let's say for the next, we'll start today and go to a week from now. Again, I could have done it through the week view too, but I can get customized. I can get very granular on my view here. So I want to see all the open calls for Alan for this time period. I can go ahead and do that. He doesn't have much to do, which is good. Again, that's Alan, but we'll get him. We'll put him to work, right? We'll put him to work for sure. So again, this filtering mechanism is a great way to get a handle on what maybe has already occurred, or getting a handle on what the unassigned calls are out there that you need to get assigned out. Again, it's very you can get very granular by division, by a service area, by call type, and those types of things. Really giving you the capability to do whatever you want with how you want to see that information. So well, we've got a lot. We could show a whole bunch of other stuff. I covered a little bit on the home tab here, the different views, the technician area again, being able to see the schedule for the technicians. Again, being able to select as many as you want, comparing schedules, dragging and dropping, those types of things on the fly, and being able to just, again, schedule your workday out and making sure that people are getting to the right appointments at the right time. And again, with the email capability of emailing your technician, emailing your customer, making sure that both your workers and also your customers are knowing what's going on as well as soon as things happen. So I think at this point I'm going to go ahead and open it up for questions. We'll go back and take a look and see what we've got that's come in. So take a look and see if we have any questions out there. Again, please, if you have any, enter them in your questions pane, and I'll go ahead and address them. All right, a great comment. Thank you. Thank you for that great comment. It looks like it would help a great deal on scheduling workload, especially those unassigned calls. Again, that I think is a big benefit of that part of the scheduler, is being able to see the list and then schedule them out that way, and then using the drag and drop if you need to schedule as well. Asking about again, that free trial or risk-free trial, certainly contact your partner of record. I guess I wanted to just let people know that if you're interested, contact your TDAC GP partner, and they can go ahead and get a hold of us. Or if you think of questions after this webinar, feel free to reach out to us by phone or by email. We'll answer those questions. If you want a deeper discussion, we certainly can have that. We may, again, ask that we pull in your partner to make sure that everybody's on the same page on that. So thank you for that. All right. Looks like we've answered the questions. We'll go ahead and give it one more minute. Otherwise, we'll go ahead and give you just a couple minutes back in your day here. All right, I don't see anything coming in, so we're going to go ahead and close out this webinar. Thank you again for joining. Next week, I don't have the schedule, but I know off the top of my head that we have auto charge for KeyDAC signature on next Tuesday. And then we have our payroll rewind webinar on Thursday, May 4th at 11 o'clock a.m. Central. I think both of those are at 11 o'clock. Feel free, again, when you watch for our invitations, but if you don't get an invitation, just go out to our website, www.iscorp.biz, go under the events tab, and we list all of our free webinars out there. And we try to have one tool that relates to KeyDAC signature on one day, and then one that's related to GP on the other day. So feel free to sign up for those. We'd be more than happy to have you on our upcoming webinars. All right, thank you again for joining today. Have a great rest of the day.